We're back at it with more MLS action this weekend as we have MLS Matchday 18 taking place over 3 days on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, May 31st, June 1st, and June 2nd. Got one game on Friday with New York City FC hosting San Jose, then 11 games on Saturday and one more on Sunday with Atlanta hosting Charlotte. Quick turnaround from Wednesday's midweek games. Now on Wednesday there were 5 teams, New York City FC, San Jose, Columbus, St. Louis, and New England, who were all off. So they'll all be a little bit more rested than their opponents this weekend. In my opinion, it was a kind of a wacky Wednesday with Miami losing at home to a struggling Atlanta team. No one would have seen that coming. Cincinnati lost, and they lost at home and got shut out. Also very unexpected. TFC and Philly both played to low-scoring 0-0 game. They're not usually involved in low-scoring games. The Timbers, yes, the Timbers kept their first clean sheet of the season, and they were away. And in Austin, where the Verde had scored in 20 straight games at home. Montreal scored 4 goals, not expected for them. The Dynamo's anemic offense exploded for 3 goals of their own. Charlotte's run of 5 straight clean sheets ended after a long weather delay. RSL was down 1-0 in Seattle. They looked to have gone down 2-0, but Seattle's goal was called back. RSL went on to score minutes later in the 100th minute to extend their undefeated streak to 12 games. So we had all kinds of crazy outcomes and score lines on Wednesday. That all led to some of our picks going 1 and 2 in the parlays. Let's hope for better this weekend. And if you want more MLS picks and predictions, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel to get more. Let's start off with parlay number 1. There's going to be 3 parlays for this weekend. Let's start off with DC and Toronto. TFC went on the road to Philly. Like I said, they drew 0-0 on Wednesday. They did so without Lorenzo Insigne, who was back in Italy for the birth of his child. Unlikely if he'll be back this weekend. I would guess not. DC went on the road to Montreal, fell behind 3-1, took a red card, went on to lose 4-2 this weekend. They'll also be without both Matty Patola and Christian Dahome, who are suspended. Toronto is certainly having the better season despite not putting up many wins of late, at least not in MLS. They have some wins in the Canadian Championship, but in MLS they just have 1 win in 5. Still, they've scored in 12 of 16 MLS games. DC2 aren't winning much of late. They have 0 wins in 4. DC's games, though, have been pretty wide open. They've scored in 13 of 16. They've conceded in 14 of 16. They've scored in 6 of 7. They've allowed a goal in 10 straight. The over 2.5 is on a 6-3 run. Bets on both teams to score have gone 11-5 on the season, and both teams to score an over 2.5 has hit in 5 of their last 7 games. Last year between these teams, DC won 3-2 at home, and Toronto 2-1 at home. We look at other score lines between them in other seasons: 2-2, 2-1, 3-1, 7-1, 2-2, 2-2, 5-1 in extra time, and 1-1. Now these are obviously different teams as compared to teams from years past, but still, we've not seen a low-scoring game between these teams in some time, nor has a bet on both teams to score not cashed in any of the last 10 meetings between them. DC's games this season have averaged 3.3 goals per match. Toronto's 3.0. We have Bernadeschi in good form. We have Christian Benteke in good form on the other side for DC. I can certainly see a goal coming from both teams here. So we'll kick off leg 1 of the parlay with both teams to score. That's at minus 160. So even on its own, it's an okay bet. Certainly wouldn't pay a ton, but you could just go both teams to score or both teams to score an over 2.5. But I'll go goal from each in leg 1. Then head over to the Miami and St. Louis City game. The Herons were rolling. 5 Strebs were slumping. That all reversed on Wednesday with Atlanta beating Miami 3-1. And in Miami, obviously, not obviously, but it could have been much worse if you were watching that. Atlanta certainly had plenty more chances to score as well. That snapped a run of 7-1-0 for Miami, undefeated in 8. It was just their second home loss of the season, their first loss with Messi playing, and their third home loss in MLS in their last 17 games. St. Louis were off, so they'll be rested here. Maybe they can use that to their advantage to stop a slide of 3 straight losses in MLS, where they've lost 2-1, 3-1, and 2-0, and a streak of just 2 wins in 12 games. St. Louis only has 2 wins this season in MLS, and both were at home. Away from home, they're 0-4-2 in MLS this season. If you look at all competitions on the road and go back to last season, they have just 1 win in 16 games, none in 9, and they've allowed multiple goals in 12 of those 16 road games. St. Louis won the only ever meeting between these teams last year in July in St. Louis, with them winning 3-0. Now, you would think this would be a Miami win. They'll probably look to respond after Wednesday's poor showing in Atlanta, but then Miami could be getting a little tired here. They were in Vancouver last week. They flew back to play on Wednesday. They have another game now 3 days later. Meanwhile, St. Louis were home last weekend. They didn't play on Wednesday, so they'll be rested. So in this case, I'm just going to ask Miami to score 2 goals. And in case this game does turn into a shootout, St. Louis has allowed 2, 3, and 2 goals in their recent games. This will also be the last game for Messi for a while as he heads off to Argentina for the Copa Americas. They're obviously going to want to go out on a high before they lose him for a while, but they're just a hard team to trust. Miami is defensively as well, and St. Louis will have a big rest advantage. So in case we see another wacky result here with Miami, I do think we at least see 2 goals from them. So we'll go over 1.5 Miami goals. Now, paired with the both teams to score with Toronto, you can get about a plus 130 price on that 2-leg parlay. That's certainly good enough by itself, but I have one more game I want to throw in here, and it's Nashville and New England. Nashville just went to Cincinnati and not only ended a 7-game winning streak, they got the road win and shut out the Supporters Shield winners, scoring 2, and they won 2-0 away to one of the league's top defenses. I certainly didn't see that one coming. I did need the Gary Cincinnati to at least score 1, which is usually a lock, but as we see, there are no locks. New interim head coach Rumba Muntali is still undefeated in his 3 games on the sidelines with Nashville, 2-1-0. Nashville's undefeated in 4 games. They also have just 1 loss in 7 as well. The Revs are rested, and that is about it. That's about all you can positively say about them coming into this game. They're clearly holding down that wooden spoon award all by themselves right now at just 7 points on the season. Their 9 goals for are easily the lowest in the league. The 26 goals allowed are the 8th worst. And that's even with them playing only 13 games. Other teams in MLS have played as many as 17 games. So give them a few more games and that defense could, at this rate, easily be maybe the worst. The Revs have given up a goal in all but 2 games, and they won all but 2 games in 11 of 13. And their 2 wins are both 1-0 over Chicago and Charlotte, teams that don't usually score. Nashville are not known to light up the score sheet themselves, but they are the team on the upswing right now, and they are at home. They are coming off a huge win over Cincinnati. They surely should win at home, I would think. Last year, both teams won at home, 1-0 for the Revs, 3-2 for the Yotes. All I'm going to ask to bump this parlay up is just Nashville to get a goal. At some point, New England has to turn things around. I'm not sure it'll be this week, but let's just ask Nashville to score. Let's go Nashville to score, both teams to score, DC, Toronto, and Miami to score at least 2, and we'll bump that up to plus 169 in that 3-leg parlay. Parlay number 2, Chicago and LA Galaxy. The Fire stopped a 4-game losing streak with back-to-back 1-1 draws last weekend versus DC and also on Wednesday versus Orlando. But it's still 0 wins in 9 for Chicago, only 2 wins in 16, and only 4 goals scored in their last 9 games. The Galaxy hosted Dallas on Wednesday, and they won 3-1 with a brace from Dejan Jovic and a late goal from Ricky Puig. They're second in the West. Despite a run of 5 games without a win, it's still just 2 losses on the year for the Galaxy, and they are undefeated at 2-4-0 in their last 6 games. In 4 of 6, they've scored multiple goals. They've only been held off the score sheet 3 times this season in 16 games. Now, these teams don't meet often, being in different conferences, but LA did win 3-0 in LA last year. To me, there just has to be, I think it's an obvious take here, there has to be some sort of bet on the Galaxy. Whether you're betting a Galaxy win on the road at around plus 150, that would be a great bet all by itself, or in some way in a parlay, whether that be double chance, a draw, no bet, Galaxy to score 2 goals, or simply to score, because this also just looks too easy. The odds make this about even, both teams coming in around plus 150 odds, and Chicago is clearly one of the worst teams in the league, and the Galaxy have clearly been one of the best, so even being on the road, it is a little odd that the odds make this game very close. Again, just maybe Chicago can't be this bad forever, but they have looked really terrible. All I'm going to do is ask for the Galaxy to score. That looks like something that's as close to a lock as you can find, and then that'll keep this parlay alive into the late game, one of the late games with Vancouver and Colorado. These 2 teams are tied with 22 points in the West coming into this weekend. The Caps halted a run of 6 games undefeated in the league with a big 2-1 road win over SKC Wednesday, and it was 2-0 until the final minute, so that was very close to a shutout. 2 Ryan Gold goals stopped the dry spell of Caps scoring, as they had just 2 PK goals in their previous 5 games. That should boost their confidence, but then again, SKC is the West's worst team and one of the worst in MLS. The Rapids are a step up. They're sitting mid-pack. Despite a better-than-expected start, though, they are now winless in 3 games. After losing 3-1 in Houston on Wednesday, that's a team that doesn't usually score many goals, much less 3. With a 3-3 draw and a 5-3 loss before that, though, the Rapids have now given up 3-3-5-0 against Vancouver earlier, this team they're playing now, and 3 goals in their past 5 games. Now, it's the second meeting this season with Colorado winning 1-0, as I just mentioned, as that's the only game where they've not given up goals of late. They played back on May 15th. Now, last year they drew 2-2 and 0-0, and a road team has not won any of the last 6 meetings. The Rapids defense may be starting to unravel, but they've still scored 7 goals in 3 games as well, and they've scored in 11 straight in 15 of 16 this season. All's not right in Vancouver just after beating SKC. That's not a great team, but I do see goals in this game. This looks like we could see goals. Let's go both teams to score for leg 2 of this parlay. Vancouver, Colorado, both to score. The Galaxy to score. Get that at minus 111 odds over at Caesars. And now let's do one more 2-leg parlay here, starting with Minnesota United and Sporting Kansas City. The Loons were in LA Wednesday versus LAFC, and they saw a run of 6 games undefeated come to an end where they lost 2-0 against one of the informed teams, LAFC. Prior to that, Minnesota was 4-2-0, and they had scored 2 or 3 goals in all 6 of those games. Now, in other news, the Emmanuel Reynosa saga is over. The DP was transferred to Liga MX side Club Tijuana this week, so we can finally stop talking about if he's ever coming back to Minnesota or getting his visa. It's from bad to worse for SKC, who went into Wednesday's home game winless in 8 MLS games against the Vancouver team, who was winless in 6. And they lost again, 2-1, and only got that 1 goal in the dying moments of the game, so almost got shut out. Sporting are bottom of the West, and they're only above New England overall. Now, if you take out 2 U.S. Open Cup wins, they've now lost 6 straight games, and they've given up a goal totals of 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, and 3 during this winless 9-game slide. In all MLS games, they've conceded in 14 of 15, and they've scored, though, in 13 of 15. SKC won all 3 meetings last season, 3-0, 1-0, and 3-1, but it was Minnesota taking all 3 points back in April this season, where they won 2-1. Given how these teams are playing now, this very likely could be another Minnesota United win. At home, Minnesota has scored in 10 straight games going back to last season in MLS. They've also scored in 19 of their last 20 home games. Every Loons game this season, all 14, has seen at least 2 goals scored. So whether you throw in over 1.5 goals in this game into a parlay, or bet Minnesota to win, or bet Minnesota to score over 1.5 goals themselves, a minus 150, I think those could all be good options. I will go Minnesota over 1.5 team goals for themselves, and pair that with LAFC to also score 2 goals against FC Dallas. LAFC hosted Minnesota Wednesday, and they won 2-0. It's now 6 wins on the bounce, where they've outscored their opponents 14-1 with 5 straight clean sheets. Dallas was in action versus the other LA side, the Galaxy, in LA, and lost 3-1. That snaps 5 games in all competitions undefeated for them, but 2 of those did come against USL sides. In 16 games in all competitions, Dallas have kept just 4 clean sheets, and 1 was in the US Open Cup and another against a team that doesn't score that much, Houston. And in their recent run of improved form, they've still given up a goal in 6 of their last 7. And Nkosi Safari took a late red card. He'll miss out this weekend for Dallas. Last year, both of these teams won at home. LAFC 2-1, Dallas 2-0. In the 10 all-time meetings, a road team has only won once, and not in any of the last 4. There's also never been fewer than 2 goals scored when these 2 teams meet up. Dallas doesn't look like a team to me that's in any place right now to end LAFC's impressive winning streak. LAFC are huge favorites, though, in this game. So unless you're going to bet them to win by 2 or 3 goals, it's hard to make a bet on this game as a solo play. So I'm going to ask LAFC to score over 1.5 goals and pair that with Minnesota to score over 1.5 goals, coming in at plus 136 odds. Now, what do you like? Those are my MLS Matchday 18 best bets and predictions. Be sure to share all of your picks, upsets, parlays, whatever you're betting down there in the comments. And good luck this weekend in MLS Matchday 18.